Look at who that little green guy is.
Look at that green guy in the barrel. Look how happy he is. He's actually just elated.
Flying through the air.
Here's the thing. There's two others below him. Where are they?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
also-
No, it's like, you know when you see those like 3 kids in a trench coat sort of trope in movies? That's the goblins. They're stacked up in the barrel.
Yeah, I think Derek. To be honest, I actually think that minor control, where you have the Inferno Tower, you have the spells, you have the chip damage, is actually probably what you want to go for. You have make sure you have the flexibility to go under, as Rumham so eloquently explained to us, under these big body decks, and then have the tools to soften the blow of the incoming Golem push, and I think that's exactly what minor control decks are designed for. Giant Bowler, of course, we talked about how Golem decks were designed to go over them and really push through against these Giant Bowler decks, but I think Giant Bowler still holds. It's not a impossible to win matchup, right? I think Giant Bowler holds the benefit of being a little more lean, a little more flexible, right? And that's really what Derek has to be focusing on if he wants to win this match.
The worst situation for Gilgamesh is in a crucial game, especially in overtime, committing the golem to the board, and in that moment, Derek goes under with the minor goblin barrel, princess at the river, minion horde, right? And it's going to be faster, and it can usually take that tower first, which of course can win you the game in overtime. Gilgamesh, he's got the golem baby dragon deck. We've seen it be very, very strong. I love it. I'm not going to root against it. Reddit Alpha, though, bogarting all of the finalist spots here if Gilgamesh wins.
What does this world come to?
Crazy.
Hog Lightning, though, a great way for him to go under the. Is it a Golem deck that is
Giant Bowler?
Deck? Giant Bowler. So he's going to have to really make good use of that Hog Lightning at the right time.
All right, well, here we go. Derek from Elite Gaming against Gilgamesh from Reddit Alpha. One of these two semifinalists will be moving on to our finals. Let us know who you think it's going to be.
Feels like we're back in April.
We're going all the way back.
Elite Gaming versus Reddit Alpha.
Oh, that's a good point. You're right. That is Derek of Elite Gaming. That's great.
All right, let's see.
One of the first well-known competitive clans proving that they have not.
They're not out of the scene.
They're not out of it yet.
They're here.
Golem dies before it reaches the tower, and so death damage won't affect it. But Giant is actually...
Give him a little boost.
Bowler gave him a little push right
He's
into
like,
the
come here,
tower.
you get my tower faster. Here, go get it.
Now that Mega Minion, though, has already done work. It killed the Ice Golem, killed the Baby Dragon, and it's coming back. It's not going to threaten the tower, but it is absorbing a few shots.
Actually, interesting in that situation, Derek had enough elixir to play a Giant, and I actually think that would have punished Gilgamesh a lot. Already getting punished by the Musketeer, I imagine if a Giant was added to that push, he could have done a lot of damage in that moment. Maybe gonna turn around and bite him in the butt in a few minutes here.
Here's one thing that's not going to actually matter as far as gameplay at all, but I just wanted to point out what I love about what Supercell has done with this game. When a unit is slowed, its voice is also lowered. So I can't wait to hear the new bowler with a lower voice. Back to the game.
And cards like Golem that already have a really low voice, when they get slowed, it's like ridiculous. It sounds a lot more. Yeah. Ooh, great. Oh, unfortunately, the Tombstone died and then spawned the skeleton, so the Golem wasn't able to blow up on all of it. And Giant doesn't blow up at all.
He blows up into Elixir, which is cool.
Yeah. Knocks him
Bowler
back.
is working really well for Derek right now. I think the Bowler is really clearing out a lot of the key cards that are defending for Gilgamesh, and also converting really well. These Bowlers are living for a very, very long time.
And now, because I believe that there is a Lightning in Gilgamesh's deck, he's opted not to play it. This is, now that we are in double, that Musketeer just got zapped right off the board by the Lightning. This is the time where Golem can really, really shine. I think that Tombstone was supposed to be played 1 over, though. A little critical mistake there that could really cost him the game, because you want those skeletons to build up on the Giant, and they're not doing it, and the Giant's not getting pulled to the side.
Uh-oh, and the log puts it further away. There's a big Lightning, and all the skeletons are going to get wasted on the left side. Now, big body decks are all about timing, especially with 18 seconds left. 512 means that it could be about 2 Lightnings. I think it's about 346 per Lightning. So that's actually 2 Lightnings away. Can you cycle 2 Lightnings before that Golem gets to your tower and pushes you down?
That's twice now that the Bowler and Musketeer have walked into that very unfortunate Lightning. That's tough. But again, the Golems aren't being that threatening to the tower. You know what I mean? They're not totally getting there. Although this Golem's going to get to the tower, maybe blow up on it.
Yeah, gets the death damage, and it's all
that's
about
lightning.
cycling.
That's lightning.
Wow.
And the Lightning doesn't reach the tower there at the top.
Oh no! Was there another Lightning
that
used on
defensive?
defense?
No, no, Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh taking that one against Derek. 1 game up, 1 game away from
And look at that. That's a great example of going over the Giant Bowler deck. It looked early on like the Giant Bowler was doing well, but once the double Elixir came out, once both players were just flooded with Elixir, the Golem deck had the ability to go, you know what? I'm playing my expensive tank, I'm playing my expensive spells, and you can't do that much about it because you don't have the ability to go under my strategy. Giant Bowler's not a fast deck. There's no quick attack in there. So once Gilgamesh has committed to Battle Cruiser Clash Royale, he's just got the bigger ship.
All right.
Okay, well, so if you're not going over or under, and you're the person who is going being over or under,
you're making the,
what do you do?
You're
What,
the mid-range.
like,
Mid-range is the term, right?
okay,
Yeah.
if you're mid-range, what do you do? What could you have done?
I think you want to make sure that you can do one of two things, right? You can split push really well. You
Okay.
can try to go in both lanes because when your opponent is holding a bunch of 8 and 6 and 5 cost cards, it's hard for them to easily kind of defend both sides. And you have to be very accurate with your placement. When you saw early in the game, I think Derek was outplaying Gilgamesh early on. He had really good Mega Minions, he had really good placements, but near the end, he started to walk the Bowlers and the Musketeer into some bad lightnings, and that started to make him lose his Elixir advantage
Slowly
and fall
but
behind.
surely.
I
That
think
lightning.
if he had split them out a little much and not really walked into those big spells, I think that he probably could have pushed it. He was only 400 some odd damage away from winning, and it could just come down to just a little bit of Elixir lost in those bad trades.
Ray, I want to talk about how important we talk about, if you get an Elixir, you're down Elixir, right? Someone got a 3 for a 4, so you're like, oh, they're ahead 1, or someone getting a free Tombstone on the field. How hard is it to come back from being down? Is it relatively, is it easy? Is it like, oh yeah, there's just certain things you can do as we're going into game number 2. Gilgamesh went up.
The best thing to do in that scenario is to spend some of your money in the bank, right? Your tower health is money in the bank.
Use the tower health.
Yeah.
Okay.
You use your tower health to buy yourself back into the game, and just understand that if you execute a push well, it doesn't matter how low your tower health is if you're the one that ends up taking more towers or has a tower down by overtime.
All right, now Gilgamesh has to use this final deck. Do you think it's a good matchup for what Derek's bringing, or does Derek have kind of the upper edge here on him?
It's kind of tough. So he could have played the Giant Bowler deck. I'm actually surprised that he didn't play Giant Bowler because he's going against a Hog Rider deck, so the Bowler would have been really, really strong there. But there is it's Hog Lightning, so I don't know how much he was maybe worried about getting his Bowler lightninged off the field. I think this is probably Derek's first deck, his primary deck, the one he's more comfortable with. So with his back against the wall, he feels better playing it to tie it, and then he goes into game 3 with a pretty decent matchup in terms of cards.
All right, how are you going to avoid the log? That's not how you do it. All right, buddy.
Mind game.
One other thing about the kind of going under and going over, Hog Lightning is definitely a fast attacking deck compared to a Golem deck, but it's not nearly as fast or aggressive as the Hog Cycle decks that we used to see. And in this way, the Giant Bowler, the mid-range deck, actually does really well against this sort of like, oh, I'm fast, but I'm not that fast, I'm not that powerful. Hog Cycle would murder a Golem or a Giant Bowler deck, but instead, I don't know how it's going to do against Hog Lightning.
Skeleton Army being used on defense against the Hog Rider means that he's taking a little bit of chip damage every time that the Hog Rider is played, and that's really what the Hog wants to do. Big connection on the Goblin Barrel, lowers the tower health down to 1.1k. Mega Minion might get a little swing, but not really that relevant.
Gilgamesh only has a log to defend against the Skeleton Army and the Goblin Barrel, so if he can ever get Gilgamesh's hog or log out, there's a lot of opportunities for some really dangerous attacks.
This is a very good point, and for instance there, oh wow, that Inferno Tower, oh, the lightning, way too late, not having enough elixir saved up. There's no log for this Goblin Barrel. Oh, there is, I lied. He actually cycled fast enough.
Because of the Ice Spirit. The Ice Spirit and the Princess helped him really cycle that quickly. Ooh, great Princess, though. It's going to splash on a lot of those skeletons.
Then you just swat it down. No.
Here we go. Now we're going in. We're 30 seconds away. The next tower to go down may win the game just simply because there's not that much time left and both towers are so low health.
Derek, slightly ahead here. Oh, Fireball Log. Will that be enough?
It should be.
Oh, how about his Fireball Miner? Just like that. Derek taking 10 seconds. He's got to stay alive. If Gilgamesh can't take this, if that hog doesn't make it, it looks like Derek is going to pick up the victory, and we will be going into game number 3 here of the semifinals between Derek from Elite Gaming and Gilgamesh from Reddit Alpha.
Now it is Hog Lightning against Giant Bowler, the match that we were thinking about.
Yeah.
This could go a lot of ways. I think this is really just going to come down to who plays their matchup better.
So Bowler
tough.
typically is pretty good at shutting down Hog Rider, because not only does it mitigate the damage that the Hog Rider does by pushing it back, but Hog Rider doesn't do any damage to the bowlers, so that's 6 elixir that as you're fighting the Hog Rider, you're just gaining more and more elixir.
Right.
Gets to a certain point where you have this mega push that some dude with a Hog Rider in hand just doesn't have enough cards to deal with, and you can get pushed down.
I mean, that's that's exactly using your HP as a resource in your tower, because Hog doesn't take any of the minions on the field.
Yes.
He just goes for tower. So right now, so you're saying Hog or the bowler has a slightly bigger advantage?
Depending on how the Hog Lightning deck is built, it may be good against bowler decks, but check this out. Gilgamesh is also playing Skeleton Army and Princess, 2 other cards that bowler's happy to fight against, right?
Yeah.
I'm actually not sure what Gilgamesh could do. My best guess would be lightning it, maybe log it away. Maybe you have a Mega Minion that's kind of killing it first, but as long as Derek is very patient with his bowlers, I think he's pretty favored in the matchup. Don't just throw bowler out there on offense. Hold it on defense in all cases, and you should be able to stop most of the attacks that Gilgamesh can put together with this deck.
Okay, well, you guys at home, let us know who you think is the one who's going to be moving on to the finals. Will it be Derek? Will it be Gilgamesh? We are less than potentially 5 minutes away.
That's true.
All right, let's take a look.
Will Reddit Alpha make their second all Reddit Alpha finals, or will Elite Gaming crash the party? All different people, too.
Who's gonna move on to
Reddit
win that
Alpha.
$2,000?
Poor Giant.
We'll see. Yeah, getting eaten alive by the Skeleton Army. That's a drop that goes unanswered. Arrows is already
go.
down because he tried to use it on Princess and converting the skeletons with a Hog Rider push. And this is what we're talking about. When is the bowler going to come down? Is it going to come down?
Looks like it wasn't one of those early cards, but only took 1 swing for it, so not too bad. And that actually shows how Tombstone is kind of bailing him out there. He has multiple cards that are good at delaying the Hog Rider from hitting the tower, and having one or the other in your hand is going to be very valuable.
What is your answer to Princess?
Musketeer should be in his hand. I'm going to arrow it instead.
That means that Skeleton Army is going to be really key.
I think he wants Skeleton Army to come out so he can bowler it.
Oh, it
A
is.
little early.
Bowler early.
Again, that's like actually the worst situation of all situations to play bowler.
All right,
Because the Mega Minion's killing it. It almost died on its own. Now he doesn't have bowler for the incoming Hog Rider. That's going to be played right now.
Here we go. There it is. Look at that. A rum ham.
I guess he's relying on Tombstone, but then you're asking to get logged like that,
Man.
right? Like you're asking for the log to
Here we
come
go.
and
1,
wipe it out.
2, 3. Oh,
yeah, that's
2.
already a big win against a giant bowler deck. If your Hog Rider can get 3
Yeah.
swings, that's very rare.
Yeah, Derek just needs to just like literally don't play the bolt. There's nothing that is worth casting that bowler.
Just wait until. That's one of the reactions.
Skeleton Army or Hog Rider. He's going to try to get the chip damage here. It's a good way to cycle, right? Gilgamesh just wants to get the card out of his hand. If his opponent doesn't react to it, it's going to take an extra 100 damage, which he's happy to take.
There it is. Bowler in the back, and the Musketeer will take down the Mega Minion before significant damage taken.
But that was bad placement. Even then, the bowler behind the King Tower, like, again, he was... I think that bowler was played prior to seeing the Hog Rider. He was playing it like an investment play, but in that case, you're better off just doing that with the Giant as opposed to the bowler itself.
You're right, because when they get there, just play the other one
Yeah. Like, you need bowler standing in front of your King Tower.
when you see the Hog Rider.
Yeah, against anything, right? Against the Skeleton Army or the Hog Rider.
Uh-oh, here we go. I mean, one swing from this Hog.
Wow.
And watch, here comes the log again. Maybe not. Maybe just going to let it happen.
Well,
There's how you want the bowler.
Look at that. Hey, again, he heard you. There's a lightning.
learning from your mistakes.
This is it. Log
B.
range.
It might be a little bit too late. He has to leave that Princess alone. Does not have the time or the elixir to deal with it.
And the great distance, too, away. So is that...
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it?
I think that's
Yeah.
it.
That's going to do it. Gilgamesh Reddit Alpha is moving on. Elite Gaming just quite couldn't make it, but they did make it to the semifinals. Congratulations there for Derek. But Gilgamesh moving on to our finals to join up against Marcel P.
And here's the thing. Derek, clearly very, very strong player, but that shows the value of knowing every single matchup
Yeah,
in and
absolutely.
out. You have to know exactly what to do in every matchup if you want to be a Clash Royale North American Open champion and go to the arena battles and the crown duel. Thank you, Derek. We'll see you again, but tonight, don't.
And now we all
ya
know
out.
that you don't do that. You don't play that way.
Hold them bowlers.
Hold the bowlers
Hold
against the
the
Hog
bowlers.
Rider. Let's go and take a look at our replay of that semi-final match.
Really, I think that Gilgamesh demonstrated how effective it is to just have good use of elixir, especially in double elixir time. where your Golem deck can really play expensive, powerful cards in conjunction with each other to give really, really high-powered effects. And I think that that really was a big winning point of playing his Golem deck. Interesting little note there. He hit the King Tower with his Lightning. He wanted to make sure that he played it in the edge and not anywhere in the middle of the field to catch anything that might have been higher health than the tower.
Really key log play there. Log takes out about half the health of a tombstone, so if you see tombstone around 60%-ish health,
drop a log.
You roll the log will not only finish off the tombstone, but also kill all the skeletons right away, and that let that Hog Rider get a crucial, 3 hits is 800-ish damage, a lot of damage, right?
You're talking about, what's like the swings per worth of a Hog Rider?
It really depends on what your opponent plays to counter it. So for example, if an opponent plays something like Cannon and then Zap, and if you somehow manage to get one swing out of your Hog Rider,
that was worth
it. It was pretty worth it. When you have Bowler on the field, Bowler is a 6 elixir investment, or even something like. So let's put it this way: against a Bowler, there's not very many situations that your Hog Rider will be able to get to the tower and constantly swing back to back to back because their Bowler is always going to push you away, right? So if you can actually find an opportunity where your opponent doesn't want to play the Bowler, then you know that you really push them into a bad elixir spot, right? So seeing a Hog Rider get 3 swings against a deck like that is not common at all.
I 2 definitely value.
Yeah.
That's 4 elixir to do 500 plus damage. You're pretty happy about that because Hog Rider's cheap and you could cycle it quick enough that